Thank you, Marcus. God bumps at that. The energy that he brings to the song makes me realize I can do anything. But I want to also be very careful here. Even in the movie that this song comes from, the couple that sing it are facing huge obstacles. Huge obstacles. They're an interracial couple at the turn of the last century. And they're not living in a place that allows them to be who they want to be, or so it seems. And so are we right now. None of us would have chosen this last 10, 11 months. But here we are in the reality of the physical world. And it is difficult. It is challenging. It is heartbreaking. One of the news shows that I like to watch is on MSNBC, and it is Nicole Wallace, who used to work for the Bush administration as a communications person, and she has a show in the afternoon. At the end of her show every day, she does a tribute to someone who's passed away from COVID-19. And on Thursday, she talked about a nurse in Texas who was 41 years old with 4 kids, and who they called the respiratory lady, the breathing lady. All of her patients, and some of them were homeless, and she'd be walking to work and they'd see her and run up to her to say hi and to say thank you. And she made a difference in so many lives before she got COVID herself and passed away, leaving her husband and 4 kids at 41 because she was doing service for all of us. And those moments we have yet fully comprehend and acknowledge as a nation, as a world. I mean, we've taken some steps, and we continue to take steps here. But I don't want to make this to gloss over the sorrow and the pain that we have experienced in this past year as we look forward to what we want to rewrite for 2021. And a colleague of mine shared this poem with me at a workshop we were doing this weekend. Deanne and I were participating in. And I want to share it with you because I think it speaks to exactly the moment we're in. It goes, "The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. It is not the cup that holds your wine, the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven. And is not the lute that soothes your spirit, the very wood that was hollowed with knives. When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find that it is only which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. And when you are sorrowful, look again into your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for which has been your delight." Khalil Gibran. Weeping for what has been your delight. And I know we all have experienced that as we say goodbye to loved ones and experienced the loss of so many things this year. I look forward to giving each and every one of you who wants one a hug. Each and every one of you who wants to just to sit face to face and share a cup of coffee, a story, time. And those things I've started to list. What's really important? What's really valuable that I want to make sure happens in this next year? I know we're on the precipice of it. And my concern for myself and for all of us is that we will stumble into 2021 and allow things to happen that shouldn't have, that shouldn't come back, into our way of being. And so Deanne and I talked about it, and we went over it with the whole staff here, and decided that this year is truly going to be our year of regeneration, that we will consciously commit to working with you and as a team here at Unity San Francisco to regenerate the things that we've lost into what they really could be, the idea, the energy of possibility. And I know that there truly is possible for us, because there's social science and scientific research now that talks about this as the tipping point. So you may have read Malcolm Gladwell's book about the tipping point. You may have read some studies. Basically, the idea of the tipping point is that when an idea, a movement takes hold in a community and reaches a certain mass, that it automatically tips over, and all of a sudden the momentum of that new idea, that new thought, that new energy takes over, and it becomes inevitable that it will happen in that group of people. And social sciences have studied it, have tested it, and they range from everywhere that people tell us that 10% of people need to believe in a new idea, a new thought, up to 25 to make it happen. And it depends on the level of commitment to the idea in the groups, but the premise remains the same. It doesn't need to even be a majority. 25% of people believing wholeheartedly in an idea make it inevitable for the whole group to adopt the new idea. So what is it that we want to adopt, to commit to see in our lives and in the world today, that if we can make it to 20%, 25%, that the world will literally shift beneath our feet, that the mountain will get up and move, like Scripture tells us, that the river will part and we will walk through. That's what right in front of us today. The possibility of 2021 is palpable, is here, and it's time to step in. If you don't believe me that 20%, 25% is all we need to make this happen, take a look at some ideas that have happened, that have taken control of our community, our world, in just the last 200 or 300 years. The American Revolution, the idea of self-governance, and that all men are created equal, started with a small group of people and spread until that small group of people defeated the global superpower at the time. Unthinkable. The abolition of slavery here in this country, again, started as a small group that were fighting it, and until it reached a critical mass, and much, much bloodshed happened in between, but it eventually took control. Women's suffrage, 100 years ago now, started many years before it became the law of the land. But in 1920, it was finally passed into law that white women could also have the vote. And then we waited in the civil rights movement, and I've watched and read and listened to the journey that was in the 50s and the 60s, until, again, with much effort, the tipping point was reached and the Civil Rights Act was passed and things began to move. And then I watched it in the last years with same-sex marriage. When I went to school, to ministerial school, it was not the law of the land that I could be married, and I was married here in California, but not in Missouri, where I went to school. And he watched as the culture in that climate shifted until it just ran down the hill. Tipping points happen Tipping points can shift, can change how we expect life to be. And the universe does not care what thoughts we think. The energy we call God does not care what intention we put out into the world. It's not, as we've talked about many times before, a puppet master God up above the clouds pulling the strings. The universe responds to the energy and the thoughts we hold. So it is also true that the tipping points can be negative. The trail of tears, how we as a community, as a people, treated the Native Americans who were here before us, and how horribly we treated them without a thought of it. Slavery itself. That a group of people who called themselves committed to freedom and independence and equality could allow that to go on for hundreds of years to their fellow human beings is another example of the consciousness that propels life when we are not aware of what we're thinking. Women's equality to today, where women are still not paid to what men are paid for doing the same job. We haven't reached that tipping point yet. Voter suppression, the Black Lives Matter movement, how we still discount people of color, children and families in cages at our border. What happened to the immigration idea that this country was founded on, that we've allowed it to be so subjugated, tossed aside? So we get to make a decision here. We get to choose what we want for our own lives, what we want to happen in this community here at Unity San Francisco. How will it go forward? What will that look like? And you've all experienced that even with the sale of this, purchase of this building, the sale of our previous home. It started very small group of people who said, yeah, this might be a great idea. And all of a sudden it hit a tipping point and we rolled forward into this new building. And it is continuing to roll down this hill as we create this new space together. But what is it that we want for our nation as well? I know for me, I came to Unity because I needed it personally in my life. When I first found Unity, I was in a place that I needed attention for my needs, what I wanted to create, my prosperity, my health, my well-being, my family. And the Unity teachings were very personal, using affirmations and using the tools, the practices here were a life raft. Then became an ocean liner for my life. But as I've grown in Unity, I also see, too, that we can move beyond our own personal needs to more global, universal needs and apply the same principles to that. So I'm going to invite Reverend Deanne to come back up here with me, talk about what it is we want to create here. We'll do our two-shot, guys. I'm pulling this on them without telling them I was going to do this.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. So what is it that we want to create here as we move forward in 2021? And what is it that we want our community to join with us in owning so that the world shifts, right?
You know, we talk often about how what is happening within us is happening everywhere because there is only one life. And so this year of regeneration is an opportunity for us as a community, like individually and as a community, to really consciously commit to who we want to become and what we want the world to become. And that we need to be expanding our understanding of our power, of our authority, and of what's possible. So it's like not thinking so small. Like it's not just about my life. It's not just about my needs being met. It's about meeting the needs of the world.
Right. And the change in understanding and thinking that the world is a zero-sum game, meaning there's only so many pieces of the pie.
Right.
And that's not our concept of the divine. No. Our concept of the divine is unlimited, and as much good is needed is the good that will be provided. So just because they have something doesn't mean it's taken from me. The more I give, the more I receive. And so when we can open our hands and see everyone blessed, everyone treated equally, everyone having full access to the world, to voting, to jobs, to immigration, to health care, to housing, food, right? Everything, that there's more than enough to go around. And when we catch ourselves in fear and in lack thinking, to recommit to the vision of a world that works for everyone.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And that is the power of our teaching. So there is this inner work, but there is this outer expression.
Yeah.
And this idea of sacred activism is what we're being called to step into and to embrace.
And it's unity's maturity level that's allowing it right now, because we're 130 years old, just about a little over that, but 130 years old, and we're coming into understanding that it's more than the individual journey. There's a collective journey that we are all influencing, and if we can affect that tipping point with our commitment to these ideas for everyone, that we can really create something remarkable. And my favorite quote I'm going to bring up is Margaret Mead says, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. In fact, it is the only thing that ever has." So truth. Truth can come from anthropologists or from ministers.
That's right.
And from scriptures. And from individuals. It comes from the wisdom of all of our minds. And that's why together in unity, we're so much more powerful. Deanne's going to take us on a guided meditation.
Here we go.
A journey as we all come together with our own thoughts and come as one.
So we're going to allow Misa here to guide us into a sacred space. So I invite you to just open your heart, quiet down everything that might have been stirred up for you here as you allow this song to carry you into an open-hearted space of deep listening and deep receptivity.
I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am stronger every moment, every day. My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. I trust my instincts and let spirit be my guide. I vow to live a life that's real and true and free. As I continue walking in this mystery, I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am grateful every moment, every day, There may be walls, there may be roadblocks in my way, but I can choose to take a higher path each day. And now I know that what I thought was safe and sound was only habit and regret that held me down.
So we just breathe into this space of surrender, surrendering up the small idea of who we think we are, the small understanding of what is possible, and just offering that up into the largesse of the truth of our being, the truth of all being. Touching that infinite space, place, where we are continually resourced, renewed, rejuvenated, and regenerating. And just being willing to allow the turning over of an old awareness, being willing to take what you think is so true and real and allow the divinity that you are, the wholeness that you are, to illuminate what is yours to commit to this year, that is yours and the world's, that is that larger awareness as we say yes to the expansion of consciousness, that arc that is always growing in our understanding. Let's listen in the silence. And as we begin to come back into time and space, we know that the listening continues, the willingness continues. How am I called to show up as my most magnificent, unique, divine self in service to this largest vision possible of a world that works for everyone?
I will surrender to my greatest, highest good.
That is our greatest, highest good.
I will release any fear that blocks my way.
Feeling all the resistance fall
For
away.
every step I take is taken in pure faith.
We are so supported.
And I am stronger every moment, every day. I am kinder every moment, every day. I am grateful every moment, every day.
And so it is. Amen. Ashe.